Welcome to your review of weight management and sports and performance nutrition.
Yeah, it's a topic that can be
Yeah,
really, really confusing for a lot of people.
especially I think in the general population, they see,
Right.
these athletes who are just incredibly fit
Yeah.
and assume that they must
They got it all figured out, right?
know all the secrets, but it's
Yeah.
really a whole different ball game when you're talking about
Absolutely.
managing weight for peak performance.
It is.
And it's not just about aesthetics.
No, it's not just about how you look. It's about how your body is functioning and how you can optimize your body composition for your sport.
Exactly.
For
And
fun
perform
play.
at your best.
I think, people hear stories about like Michael Phelps and
Yeah, the 10,000 calories a day.
yeah, and they think, "Oh, well,
That's the key, right?
that's what I need to do." But
Yeah.
obviously that's a very extreme example.
Very specific to him.
But it does highlight the fact that
Yeah.
energy needs can vary so drastically. Massively. Yeah, absolutely.
From athlete to athlete.
And it comes back to that idea that there's
Yeah.
no one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly.
What works for one athlete might completely backfire for another.
And even within the same sport, you
Absolutely.
could have different...
Different positions, different body types,
Exactly.
different training demands.
So where do we even begin with
Right.
trying to understand this?
I think a good starting point is recognizing that
Yeah.
the goals for athletes are often quite different from the general population.
Yeah, we're not just aiming for a certain...
Exactly.
on the scale.
It's not about being thin.
Right, it's about
Performance and body composition.
body composition, yeah.
And overall health.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so
Yeah.
interesting.
Give us an example of how that might look different.
So let's take a marathon runner, for example.
Okay.
They need to be light for endurance, so they're going to be focusing on...
Yeah. Maintaining a low body weight while still fueling their runs.
So they're not going to be bulking up
Where a powerlifter
Right.
needs mass.
to move those weights.
Move those heavy weights, right?
Right.
So their goals are going to be completely different.
And we see this in all different sports.
All the time, yeah.
You look at, a gymnast
Party.
compared to a linebacker in football.
Completely different physiques.
And it's not just
Yeah.
about how they look.
No, it's about function.
It's about
Right.
how those different body types are going to perform best in their sports.
Exactly. Carrying excess weight can actually hinder performance in a lot of sports.
And on the flip side,
Yeah.
being too lean can lead to
Heat,
fatigue, injury.
injury, hormonal imbalances, all sorts of problems.
So it really is about finding that
That sweet spot.
sweet spot, that optimal balance
Yeah.
for each individual athlete.
Individualized. Absolutely.
And that's where it starts to feel overwhelming, I think, for a lot of people, because
Yeah, it can get complex.
that's not just a one-size-fits-all answer.
No, and that's where
Yeah, but-
deep understanding of energy, needs,
Okay.
body composition,
And,
the nuances of sports nutrition comes in.
okay, well, let's break that down a little bit.
Yeah.
I think when a lot of people think about weight, they
Think BMI?
they think BMI. And
Yeah.
I know you've said before that BMI isn't always
It's not the best of the measure for athletes.
the best measure for athletes. Why is that?
Because it doesn't differentiate between muscle mass and fat mass.
Okay.
So you could have an athlete who's very muscular,
Right.
like a rugby player, for example.
Okay.
They might have a high BMI
Because of all that muscle?
because they're carrying a lot of muscle mass.
Yeah.
But their body fat percentage could be quite low.
Interesting.
So BMI doesn't tell the whole story.
So what are some better ways to assess body composition?
So there are more accurate methods like underwater weighing. Okay, but those can be quite impractical.
Right.
Especially in a
Not everyone has access to
sporting setting.
a giant tank of water.
Yeah, exactly. So in a sports setting, we often use things like BIA or skin fold measurements.
Okay, so BIA, that's bioelectrical impedance analysis.
That's right.
And
Sounds a bit scary,
yeah, a little bit.
but it's completely painless.
Okay.
It basically sends a very weak electrical current through the body
Okay.
and measures the resistance.
And how does that tell us about body composition?
So fat slows down the current.
Okay.
So the more resistance there is, the higher the body fat percentage is likely to be.
Okay. So it's like a high-tech way of kind of
Exactly.
estimating,
It gives you an estimate.
how much fat you're carrying.
Yeah.
Okay. And then skin fold measurements are a little
A
more
little more old school.
hands-on.
Yeah. We use calipers to measure the thickness of the skin and subcutaneous fat
Okay.
at specific sites on the body.
So if you have a higher skin fold measurement, that usually means more body fat.
Generally speaking, yes.
Okay.
Again, it's not a perfect measure,
Right.
but it can be a useful tool when used consistently by a trained professional.
Okay. So we've talked about kind of assessing
Yeah.
body composition.
Getting a baseline.
Let's talk about the fuel part of it.
Yeah.
How do we determine an athlete's energy needs?
So it starts with understanding their resting metabolic rate,
Okay.
or RMR.
RMR, and that is,
And that's basically the minimum amount of energy that their body needs
okay.
to function at rest.
Okay, so like how many calories you burn just by
Exactly. Just by
Certainly.
breathing
Yeah.
and keeping your heart beating.
But then, obviously, for athletes, we need to factor in their
Activity level.
activity level,
Training.
and intensity of their training.
Yeah, a triathlete's going to have very different needs
Very different.
than a golfer.
Yeah, huge differences.
Right.
So we need to take into account their training schedule,
Yeah.
the duration and intensity of their workouts.
Makes sense. Even the environmental conditions they're training in.
Okay, so really individualized.
Very individualized.
Yeah, and we can't forget about recovery, right?
Absolutely.
Athletes need extra calories
To
repair muscle tissue and replenish energy stores.
Yes. And the types of calories matter as well.
Okay,
We need to make sure they're getting enough carbohydrates for fuel,
okay,
protein for muscle building and repair,
okay.
and healthy fats for overall health and hormone function.
So it's like putting together a puzzle,
It is a bit of a puzzle.
matching their energy intake with their very specific
Absolutely.
needs and training demands.
And there are tools that we can use to help with that.
Okay, like what?
Like food logs, dietary recalls,
Okay.
even apps these days that can track.
Technology is helpful
Yeah, technology can be very
in
helpful
this area.
for
yeah.
tracking your calorie intake and making sure it aligns with your goals.
So we have the tools,
Yeah,
but it still seems like weight management can be a really tricky thing
it can
for
be.
athletes.
It's not always easy.
Why is that?
Well, there's the pressure to perform,
Yeah,
societal expectations about how athletes should look.
right. And even within the
The culture
culture of some sports.
within certain sports, yeah,
Yeah.
can make it very challenging.
And we can't forget about
And of course,
the very
the
real
issue of disordered eating,
issue of disordered eating, which unfortunately
which
can be prevalent in some sports,
yeah, more common than you'd like to think.
especially where there's pressure to maintain a
A certain physique.
certain physique, right? Like gymnastics or
Yeah, gymnastics, wrestling,
Wrestling?
all sorts of sports.
Yeah, so we're going to dive into that a little bit more later on, but
We will, but it's important to remember that
yeah,
health and well-being should always come first.
couldn't agree more.
Before?
Well, I think this is a good place to kind of pause for now. I think we've laid a really solid foundation
Yeah, I think
for our listener
Yeah, we've given them a good overview.
to understand just how complex
Yeah,
weight management in sports really is.
not simple.
Yeah, all right, so let's jump back into this fascinating world of weight management for athletes.
Yeah, it's a lot more than just counting calories, isn't it?
It really is. It's about understanding how everything interacts.
Yeah,
The energy needs, the body composition, the training demands,
even mental side of things.
the psychology of it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we can't forget those individual differences.
Yeah,
You know what works for one athlete
Yeah.
might not work for another.
even in the same sport.
Even in the same sport, different positions, different
Yeah,
body
yeah.
types, different training demands.
So that kind of highlights the need for these personalized approaches.
It does, yeah.
So let's talk strategies.
Okay.
What are some effective ways for athletes to lose weight safely?
Well, the fundamental principle is still creating a calorie deficit.
Okay.
But we want to do it in a way that supports their training, their recovery,
Yeah.
and their long-term health.
So no crash diets.
No crash diets are a no-go.
Those can backfire.
They can lead to nutrient deficiencies, fatigue, hormonal imbalances.
Yeah, you're not
We're aiming for sustainable changes, not quick fixes.
exactly. What about this whole cutting carbs thing?
Carbs.
That seems to be really popular these days.
Yeah, it's a bit of a fad, isn't it?
It is.
But the thing is, carbohydrates are a crucial fuel source for athletes, especially during high-intensity training.
Okay.
So if we severely restrict carbs, that can lead to decreased performance fatigue,
So you're not going to
difficulty recovering from workouts.
recover as well.
No.
Okay, so carbs are important, but what about athletes who
Yeah,
need to watch their weight? You know, like those in weight class sports? Or...
right. So it's about making smart choices.
Okay.
Choosing complex carbs like whole grains, fruits, vegetables,
Okay.
over-refined carbs like sugary drinks and processed foods.
So it's more about quality.
It is about quality over quantity.
Quantity.
When it comes to carbs.
Got it.
And don't forget portion control.
Of course, yeah.
Even healthy foods can contribute to weight gain.
If you're eating too much of them.
If you're eating too much of them, absolutely.
Okay. What about other dietary strategies for weight loss?
Well, protein plays a key role.
Okay.
It helps preserve muscle mass during weight loss.
Okay.
And it keeps you feeling fuller for longer, which can help manage hunger.
So a high protein diet could be beneficial for athletes trying to lose weight.
It can be, but it's important to work with a qualified sports dietitian
Okay.
to determine the appropriate amount of protein
For their individual
for
needs.
their individual needs. Yeah, because too much protein
Can also be a problem.
can also be a problem, exactly.
Okay, what about fats? I remember.
Fat's the forgotten macronutrient.
Yeah, I remember the low-fat phrase a few decades ago.
Yeah, we were all told to avoid fat, weren't we?
Yeah, is that still a thing?
Well, the good news is that healthy fats are actually essential
Okay.
for hormone production, cell function, even nutrient absorption.
Okay.
So we don't want to eliminate them completely.
So it's all about choosing the right types of fats.
It is focus on unsaturated fats,
Okay.
found in things like avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oil.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, those are your friends.
Right. And what about exercise? What role does that play in weight loss for athletes?
Oh, exercise is crucial.
Okay.
It helps increase energy expenditure. It helps build lean muscle mass. It boosts metabolism.
So it kind of does it all.
It does a lot. Yeah, a combination of cardio and strength training is ideal.
Okay, so cardio burns the calories, and then the strength training helps build the muscle, which also burns calories even at rest.
Exactly. And let's not forget the mental and emotional benefits of exercise.
Oh, of course.
It can reduce stress, improve mood boost, self-esteem,
All of which can contribute to.
all of which can contribute to healthier habits overall.
Yeah, it's easy to get so caught up in
Yeah,
the numbers.
the calories and the macros.
Yeah, but we have to remember that mental side of things.
Absolutely.
And that kind of leads into, the body image issues
Yes. Yeah.
and disordered eating patterns that unfortunately we see
Far too often.
in athletes,
Yeah, it's a real problem.
especially in sports where there's that pressure to
To maintain a certain physique.
maintain a certain physique, right?
Yeah, like gymnastics or wrestling.
Yeah, even in sports where
Yeah,
weight isn't explicitly judged, I feel like there can be that
internal pressure.
internal pressure to conform to a certain body ideal.
Absolutely. And that's where things can get
Yeah.
really tricky.
So how do we address these issues?
Well, I think first and foremost,
Yeah.
we need to create a culture that values health and performance over aesthetics.
So focusing on what the body can do
Exactly.
rather than how it looks.
What it can do, not what it looks like.
Yeah. And encouraging
Yeah.
open communication.
Open communication about body image concerns.
Yeah, athletes need to feel comfortable talking about these things without fear of judgment.
Absolutely.
Early intervention is key, right?
Early intervention is key. Absolutely recognizing the warning signs
Yeah.
of disordered eating and seeking professional help early on
Can make a world of difference.
can make a huge difference. Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about weight loss.
Yeah.
Let's kind of switch gears now and talk about the flip side.
Okay.
Athletes who need to gain weight.
All right.
That could be just as challenging, I imagine.
It can be, especially for athletes who naturally have a lean build
Yeah.
or a high metabolism.
Yeah, where do we even begin with helping athletes gain weight safely and effectively?
Well, just like with weight loss, it all starts with understanding energy balance.
Okay,
To gain weight, you need to consume more calories than you burn,
so we're tipping the scales
tipping the scales in the opposite
in
direction.
the opposite direction.
Yeah, but it's not just about stuffing yourself with junk food.
Right.
The quality of those extra calories matters just as much.
We want to fuel muscle growth,
Is
not
it-
just add empty calories.
We want to make sure they're getting those extra calories from
Yeah.
nutrient-dense foods that are going to support their training and their recovery.
So similar principles
Very similar.
to weight loss,
Yeah.
just with a different goal.
Different goal, different direction.
Yeah, so we're still aiming for those nutrient-dense foods, regular meals and snacks,
Absolutely.
and focusing on supporting overall health.
Yeah.
But in this case, we're encouraging maybe bigger portions and
Bigger portions, maybe some extra snacks.
some extra snacks. Yeah,
Yeah. And consistency is key.
of course.
Just like with weight loss, gaining weight takes time and effort.
Makes sense.
It's about creating those sustainable habits that support long-term progress.
And what about the role of strength training in weight gain?
Oh, strength training is essential for stimulating muscle growth.
Okay.
We need to provide the body with the stimulus it needs to build new muscle tissue.
So it's like this two-pronged approach,
It is.
fueling the body with the right nutrients
Yeah,
and then challenging the muscles to grow.
exactly. You got it.
This has been so fascinating.
It's a fascinating area, isn't it?
It really is. It's like a whole new world of understanding how the body works and how we can optimize it
It is.
for peak performance.
And we're just scratching the surface. There's so much more to explore.
Yeah, I feel like we could talk about this for hours,
We could.
but I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
I think we have.
From assessing body composition to understanding energy balance and exploring strategies for both weight loss and weight gain.
And we've emphasized the importance of individualization,
Yes,
working with qualified professionals, and prioritizing a holistic approach
that considers both
that consider
physical and mental well-being.
the whole picture.
Exactly. But our deep dive isn't over yet.
No.
Join us for part 3, where we'll continue this fascinating conversation, diving even deeper into
Some key concepts.
some key concepts and considerations for helping athletes achieve their weight goals safely and effectively. All right, so welcome back to the show now for part 3 of our deep dive into weight management.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting conversation so far.
It really has. And, before we wrap things up, there are a couple more things I wanted to touch on that I know are kind of hot topics these days.
Okay, sure.
One of those is weight gain powders and drinks.
Ah, yeah.
I know a lot of athletes, especially those trying to bulk up,
Right.
are curious about these.
Yeah, they can be useful.
Are they good? Are they bad? What's the deal?
They can be useful, particularly for athletes who have very high energy demands.
Okay.
Who might struggle to eat enough calories from whole foods alone.
Like those Michael Phelps level
Exactly.
calories we talked about earlier?
Yeah, those guys who are training for hours and hours a day.
Yeah.
They might need a little extra help.
So they can be helpful, but we want to approach them with caution.
Yes, definitely. They're not a magic bullet.
Right.
The foundation should always be a balanced whole food diet.
Supplements should supplement,
Exactly.
not replace.
Not replace.
Yeah.
And it's really important to choose products carefully
Okay.
because some of them might contain banned substances
Oh, wow.
or ingredients that aren't actually beneficial or even harmful.
So checking labels
Checking labels, doing your
and
research.
doing your research.
And maybe even consulting with a sports dietitian
Yeah.
to see if those supplements are right for you.
Because everybody's different.
Everybody's different, exactly.
Okay. And, another thing that I wanted to touch on is this whole idea of, like, the ideal athletic body.
Ah, yes.
There's so much pressure these days
So much
to
pressure.
look a certain way.
Yeah, it's a real problem.
And I think it's...
And it can be really damaging to athletes' self-esteem
Yeah.
and mental health.
And it starts so young.
It does. It starts young. We see these images in the media, on social media,
Yeah.
and it just creates these unrealistic expectations.
Especially within certain sports.
Oh, absolutely.
Where there's that focus on aesthetics or weight classes.
Gymnastics, ballet, wrestling,
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure there.
Like, we're sending the wrong message.
Yeah, that performance and health
Yeah.
take a backseat to how you look
Exactly.
in a leotard or on a scale.
Yeah. And that's really dangerous.
It is. It's dangerous. We need to shift the focus back to what really matters.
What's that?
Strength, skill, resilience, overall well-being.
Celebrating what the body can do,
Exactly.
not just how it looks.
How it performs, not just how it looks.
And that's a really important message, I think, for all of us to hear.
It is.
And, I think it starts with education.
Yeah.
Helping athletes, coaches, parents
Everyone in the middle.
understand
Yeah.
this importance of a balanced approach to weight management that prioritizes health and performance.
Absolutely. And promoting positive body image.
Yes.
And self-esteem, helping athletes appreciate their bodies for what they can do
Yeah.
rather than focusing on perceived flaws.
Well said. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive, I feel like,
It has.
into the world of weight management for athletes.
Yeah,
And we've covered so much.
we have.
From, the science behind it to the strategies
Yeah.
to the psychology.
The mental and emotional side of things.
And I hope that our listener is walking away from this feeling empowered
I hope so too.
to kind of take charge of their own weight management journey
Absolutely.
and achieve their athletic dreams while also prioritizing their health and well-being.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So remember, there is no one-size-fits-all approach.
Nope.
It's about finding what works best for you
For you, your sport, your individual needs.
and your goals.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to seek guidance from
Qualified professionals.
qualified professionals like sports dietitians,
Yeah, sports dietitians, strength and conditioning coaches.
strength and conditioning
They
coaches.
can help you navigate all the complexities
They can.
of weight management
Yeah.
and help you achieve your goals safely and effectively.
And remember, your worth as an athlete and as a person is not
Not at all.
defined by the number on the scale.
Absolutely not.
Focus on fueling your body, training smart,
Yeah.
and celebrating your achievements.
That's what matters.
That's what really matters.
in the long run.
All right, well, this has been such an insightful
It has.
and rewarding exploration.
I've enjoyed it.
Me too, and I hope you have as well, listener.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
We'll catch you on the next episode of The Deep Dive, where we'll explore another fascinating topic in the world of health and fitness.